Right here in Austria, we're right on the cusp of something extraordinary.
We're living in an actual medical apartheid here.
I pull back the curtain and go, who's pulling the lever?
I'm going to try and keep this positive, right? Because things are mad as usual. I'm in New South Wales, as you know. So what's happening here? Well, we're living in an actual medical apartheid here. So as predicted, we knew it was going to happen, and it has happened. The vaccinated, the double vaxxed, had their Freedom Day a couple of weeks ago as everything reopened for the double vaxxed. So if you're double vaxxed, you can now go to the gym, you can go to restaurants, cafes, you can go to the beautician, the hairdresser, clothes shops, shoe shops, but not if you're not double jabbed. So those of us who are not vaccinated are essentially still supposed to be in lockdown. Yeah. So if you walk into a shopping mall, for example, and you look at the notices on each door in the mall, there'll be a sign saying you have to demonstrate your double vaccination status. That's your vaccine passport. So that's happening. You know, I have a big pile of charity stuff that I really want to give to charity that I cleaned out in lockdown. But I'm not allowed to go into the charity shop to hand it over because I'm not double vaxxed. A public library that I saw this morning on the way to the school bus is only open to the double jabbed. It's pretty intense.
Obviously, the bit that people tend to struggle with what you've said over the years, you talk about the banking system, foreign wars, and on all this stuff, people are like, yeah, I get that. Yeah, I can go along with that. It's the reptilian stuff. It's the lizard stuff I can't get my head around. Now, obviously, after the last couple of years, like you say, you've knocked down all these dominoes, and I've heard people say it like, do you know what? I think you could be right about that now. And so to see the story in the mainstream, I think it was about 2 weeks ago now, where the Princess of Norway, her boyfriend, who I believe is a shaman, has come out and said that he was a reptilian hybrid and that's where they met. And, you know, that's in the mainstream news.
Yeah. I tell you what I found very telling about that article, which was in the mainstream, is they didn't mention me. Because they have used my, what I've said about the fact that behind all this is a reptilian race and other non-human races too, but dominated by the reptilian. And that's what's driving this agenda from the hidden. Of course, that to mainstream society is so far out that the ridicule potential is almost limitless. And that's what they did. He's crazy, he's mad, oh, he's a lizard man, oh yeah. And then, as more and more starts to come out and more people think, well, hold on a minute, maybe, just maybe, they stopped associating me with that. And the thing is that I would say is, I mean, I wrote about the reptilians for the first time in The Biggest Secret, which was 1997, I wrote it. And then another one, Children of the Matrix, which came out in 2001. Well, I can tell them the same forensic research, the same skeptical research that went into pointing out that what is here with us now was coming, went into the whole reptilian thing. I'm not a kamikaze pilot. I only cross the line to talk about something when the evidence has reached a point that to dismiss it would be ludicrous.
Well, I don't think it's about health anymore, or was it ever about health? You know, we just it seems to me to be about control and taking our rights off us. You know, we have a right to make these decisions for ourselves. It's like the government don't trust us to make these decisions for ourselves. And we're just getting stripped of our rights, and it's just it's absurd. And the restrictions, and especially a multifaceted business like my own. So we're a cafe, we're a cinema, we're a live music venue, and so the guidance different depending what hat we're wearing, and all the systems are just so open to abuse as well, especially the COVID passport system. You know, nobody checks the phones properly. People are sharing screenshots of their COVID passports. It's just totalitarianism gone mad, it seems.
What advice would you give for people that want to be healthy Like just generally, I'm thinking people have been locked down in their house, they've been eating, rubbish food, probably drinking too much. Stress obviously has been playing a massive part on people. And we have a lot of people that watch this that are kind of trying to look for answers, how they can make themselves healthier.
I mean, I'm hardly going to even try to answer that question, because the first thing is you have to change how you see the world. Because if you don't do that, if you think there's a virus and you think you should be afraid, I don't care what you eat, drink, smoke, or whatever, your goose is cooked. Because you are living a delusional life, and that is bad for your health. So everybody who's interested in having good health needs to learn to see the world properly. Otherwise, none of this makes sense. And once you do that, the rest of it, what to eat and what to drink, just falls into place.
COVID is just a mechanism. It's just a tool. It's a highly effective tool, because it's, here now you've got an asymptomatic disease. I mean, what epidemic or pandemic in God's history on His earth have you ever had a pandemic and it's so serious, the disease, that you need to go get tested to know if you've got it? What we're dealing with COVID-19, it's purely a mechanism. It's stage one to really take the next step that the fight against terrorism didn't give them. The global fight against terrorism didn't give them enough. They weren't able to launch swine flu a few years ago. That wasn't good enough. But they kind of set up the perfect storm for the conditions for COVID-19. I mean, you had Event 201, which was the war game exercise in 2019, just a few months before the epidemic itself, which was a war game exercise about a coronavirus that goes berserk on global humanity. And they workshopped every aspect of what would be involved in their response. A couple of years before that, in 2017, they had the SPARS epidemic war game exercise that, was again a war game exercise around the idea of a pandemic around a coronavirus. And in the logo of SPARS, of the exercise itself, they're using what's very, very clearly a spike protein from a coronavirus. So it's, and the common denominator between these exercises of funding, people that are driving it, is of course the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, right at the top there. And, I can think of billions of reasons and trillions of reasons why Bill Gates would want to see this happen.
I'm joined in the studio by my dad and by my brother. It's been 2 years since the inception of Ickonic. So this goes to you, Jay. You formed Ickonic, you're the chief exec. What is it like running an alternative media platform at a time when alternative theories and news are being censored?
It's really tough. I mean, we launched 2 years ago, so pre-COVID. We had a kind of vision of which direction the channel was going to go, and it was going to go very kind of news and health and wellness and so on, and then bang, within 3 or 4 months all this has happened, which has driven a lot of people to look at alternative information. So that's probably put a lot of eyes on the channel earlier than we probably expected, which has been really good in terms of being able to grow, and as the viewers can see, the studio compared to how it was when we first started. But it's really challenging when you compare it to other businesses that have access to all these tools like Google ads, Facebook ads, YouTube ads, and ways to reach people that we just don't. Very much for us, it's very much word of mouth and having to be better than other than kind of the other people that are doing similar stuff, of which there is very few now. I think what was very, very important is having your own player, your own system, because all those people that have built their followings and built their things on YouTube, when they go, they've lost everything. And I think that's why we started Ickonic. I said earlier in the week, I feel like we're like the nuclear bunker, in the sense of when everything else goes, unless someone comes in with a baseball bat, they're not going to be able to take us down in the same way they've been able to take it down other people on mainstream channels.
It's a mixed bag. It's probably like everywhere in the world. You see people who are awake to the agenda to a degree, and there's people who just go along. There's people here also who have been standing their ground for 2 years, and now their psyche is breaking down, because this is what this is all about. right here in Austria, we're right on the cusp of something extraordinary. And that's why I'm so happy to speak with you about this, because I just want to see finally freedom be manifested as soon as possible. And I just have that feeling in my heart. We're just on the cusp of that.
Here at Right Now, we think standing in your own power and not consenting to the madness around us is a definite solution for the situation we're currently in. And we're not the only ones. Peter Stone has set up the organisation The Sovereign Project. Its aim is to help people reclaim their personal power and live freely in a world obsessed with control. It provides information, resources and workshops based around common law, and the aim is to build a global community of people working towards personal and collective freedom. Pete, welcome to the show. Why did you set up the Sovereign Project?
Oh, wow. Well, I've been working on it for some time. I've been researching government propaganda for getting on for 30 years now, and I really got into it in the last 10. I knew what was coming in the year 2020. I was saying in 2017, look, the government's setting up for a lockdown. Everyone thought I was a crazy person. I was also warning people about the financial reset that was coming in around 2025 and the collapse of the fiat system. So I was trying to put the Sovereign Project together to teach people how they could protect themselves. But then 2020 happened, the lockdowns happened, which I predicted, and then I thought I've got to get things done, because I was seeing millions of people suffering and panicking and living in fear, and I know how the system works, and I'm going, why are you living in fear? If you know how the system works, you would not be living in fear, and you'll be able to protect yourself. And it's relatively easy. So that's the main mission, if you like, behind the Sovereign Project. And I've got a good team behind me now. They're all woken up. Okay, there's two levels of waking up, by the way. One level of waking up is understanding what the government is trying to do. The next level of waking up is realizing the government doesn't even exist. Now, when you get into that zone, that's when you'll start to wake up, and you will not live in fear anymore, because you'll realize that the government is a legal fiction. When you get rid of that legal fiction, all you have is people, and now you know who is behind all of this. You pull back the curtain. It's like the last scene of The Wizard of Oz, right? I don't care about the booming voice and the hologram and the flames. Not interested. That's the government. That's the legal fiction. Offer declined. I pull back the curtain and go, who's pulling the levers?
Right.
I've reached the point now where anything that's not impossible is ponderable. It's that simple. And I've got colleagues who I think they wish I'd shut up. That's possible. And I'm not saying that to be critical of them. I think their life would be simpler if I just minded, stayed within the confined space of chemistry.
Yeah. I mean, I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Is there at any point where you've thought, I should just keep my mouth shut?
Absolutely. I can't. It's only a theoretical idea, but I talked to my brother a lot about this. I said, I write about human folly, and the narratives of late are beyond human folly. They're getting pretty dark. It's a very dark narrative, and I look at how Australia's handling it like a bunch of Nazis, and I go, there's something going on here that's way darker than just stupid people doing stupid things.